Show. That's right. Oh, the voice is struggling. I got the little fall chill in my throat here in November. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to the Tailgate Show. Notre Dame football's back in action. Notre Dame football has a chance to win a football game today. That is positive. That is a good start. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Appreciate it very much. We will address some of your comments. Let's get through the introduction, get into it, shall we? Thank you for being here. Hit subscribe if you haven't. Appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up. That helps John out as well. Notifications on that way you don't miss anything. Twitter, search bar Always Irish or at Always Irishing. Emails alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only, you know where to get it. Call-in line, if you don't know by now, right after the game, dial it up and you tell me everything you want to talk about. 312-900-8815. Instagram, Facebook, Always Irish Inc. Patreon.com/alwaysirish. It is myself, and who else is with me? Oh, yeah, I know who it is. Oh, it's this guy, Mike Goolsby. Welcome.
Let's play some football, John. And by the way, let's go Terrapins, dude. Maryland's giving Michigan a game right now, by the way. Down by 6, halfway through the third.
I got it on the other screen here, trying to keep my eyes on it. Looked like Michigan was going to run away in that first half with that turnover. I don't know. Maybe we can get something going.
I think Maryland switched signals at halftime smartly. So, yeah, man. And then, this other thing how about that Louisville loss, John? Gosh dang it. Louisville's eking out a win right now up by 2 against Miami. It's just like what could have been. Louisville's ranked top 10 right now. It's unbelievable. Yep. Unbelievable. Yep. Here we are.
It's really, really frustrating. And the more you think about that one, Mike, the more it was like nobody wants to hear it. It was the perfect storm. It was their Super Bowl. They were peaking. They had all the energy and we were running out of gas. It all lined up perfect and we weren't ready.
Yeah, we overlooked them. All you need to know, you go back to that week, that game rather, we're rotating interior pieces on the offensive line. When asked about it post-game, Joe Alt says, oh, yeah, we planned on doing that, which tells you coaching staff. That's a lump. That's a pimple on Marcus Freeman's resume, as it were. Let's not hope we overlook the Demon Deacons.
Come on, man. Mike, here's how I'm looking at this. You know the mood I've been in. You've had to deal with me the last, couple weeks through the bye. You kind of know where the vibes are at with how everybody's feeling. It's been a long 2 weeks. I'm looking at this as Notre Dame has a chance to go win a football game today at our house. And that's the best you could do. We can't change any of the other circumstances and the losses that have occurred. All you can do today is beat the shit out of these Demon Deeks and then keep it moving. That's all you could do.
That's it. And then we're looking forward to some football. I was looking at a couple pictures online of the walk from the Basilica to the stadium. Looked like the vibes were good, John. You get what I'm saying? It looked like the vibes were good. I don't know if you saw any of that, but just the walk over looked like Marist had handed out some help me out. What are those things called?
It's like a lay.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, so JD Bertrand got laid, Marcus Freeman got laid.
That's a good way to go before the game, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, it looked like the vibes were good. I'm curious to see, as always, what the offense kind of looks like. And, the line went from 24.5. I checked it midweek. It's at 25 last night. The first half line to me, I'm curious.
I don't like it.
I might put a nickel. So it's we're a 14-point favorite going into half. And I might put a nickel on Wake Forest. I could see us. We'll talk about what senior day is like, John.
Yeah.
Senior day can be weird, man. It can be a weird thing,
I totally understand that. It's like, is it there's the emotional component. You got your mom out there, you're hugging her. She made all these sacrifices for you to pursue your football, and your mom and dad are out there and you're hugging them. And then 1 minute later, you got to go crack some people's heads. How do you navigate that? Do you just cut that off and it's game time? How do you do that?
It's this is my thought. And Notre Dame guys are smart, right?
Yeah.
Notre Dame guys are smart. They probably got a high emotional intelligence. Whereas like sometimes as an athlete, John, you just need to be a dog. Just like go compete. There's no afterthoughts. It's just see ball, get ball, execute, kill, right? Notre Dame guys are a little bit different. I mean, they're going to be, I mean, I remember being emotional. You know, you want to play so well and you're retrospective. You think about, you know, your career and this is kind of the culmination of it. So I think it's senior day is almost a little bit more difficult for a Notre Dame guy just because, again, I think I'm painting with a very broad brush, but just they're pretty thoughtful people.
Yeah.
So you've got to do what you can. Maybe, I don't know, compartmentalize that, go through that thought process and, you go through those kind of memory rundown, like maybe before the walk or something like that. I mean, you can't have any thoughts once you put the pads on. You've got to get back into that kind of dog mentality. And it can be a struggle. I mean, I struggled with it. I did. We lost our senior game, senior.
Yeah. So. It's just a little different. Every senior day has that little different vibe. And it's even like that when we're winning and we have things we're playing for at the end of the year. There's just a different tone. I don't want to say solemn, but there's a little bit of like that finality to it no matter what.
Isn't it weird? Yeah. It's like, well, so it's like, I've always thought about that with weddings. Some weddings you go to and everybody's emotional and it's like, you know, I mean, it should be pure joy, but in a weird way, people get emotional. Yeah. It's like nobody died, right?
Yeah, that comes later. This is a wedding, not a funeral.
But you know what I mean? People are all
nobody's
emotional.
Killed each other yet.
It's like, dude, they're not dying. They're getting married. So it's like senior day is somewhat like that. It's like emotional.
Yeah.
But it should be a joyous thing. You know? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Weddings have always struck me like that.
Yeah, there's a lot that's wrapped into it. And so a couple comments here. $5 holler from Nick Dean, longtime follower of both me and you. For the Goolsby Hartman fan club comment, $5 there. And everybody's disappointed. Where's your Hartman jersey? Let's get it going. Get it going.
Hey, folks, as I was coming on air with John, I'm literally currently in the middle of moving, like as we speak. So I'll get a chance to sit down and break the game down tonight for some content tomorrow night. But I think that Hartman shirt's probably packed away somewhere.
Yeah. I'm sure it's packed away underground.
Well, dude, I texted old Johnny Boy last night. I've become a masochist doing this Notre Dame content, man. So I'm up last night watching the Clemson game for the 6th, 7th time. And Hartman did not play well, so.
It's sickening. I can't believe you're still watching that. It's a little rough. Hello, Angela. We got a Rudiger here. This is a 20-year close friend of mine, Mike. Angela Rudiger here, one of the brothers' kids. Okay, so one of those brothers' kids is Angela, and she's been a lifelong friend for about 20 years. So great.
Yeah. We know I know the Rudiger clan very well. I played with his nephew, was on my high school team. And by the way, John, shout out to the Joliet Catholic Hilltoppers who are playing in the semifinal. I think they might have the same kickoff time as Notre Dame to get to state, for the 16th, 17th time. So
there you go. Represent that Joliet diocese, baby. We're all pulling from the same end of that rope, I guess. And so when I look at today, Mike, listen, there's no way around it. Overall, Notre Dame fans are frustrated. Okay, they're mad where we're at. The end of the year should be where you're trending up, and it's getting more intense and building up, and that's just not our dynamic right now. So overall, there's this vein of frustration. However, today you got a football game you got to go win. You think everybody's mad at 3 losses? Try 4 or 5, okay? So the best you could do is win. And when I look at today, here's what the best case scenario is, Mike. Run what you're going to run, start who you're going to start, get up by enough that then we get to see a bunch of younger guys play. And in a way, you can check all the boxes then, Mike. You're getting a win, And so there's not a fire with another loss, and you're able to satisfy all the fans that are ready to move on and see the young guys play. Is that not the best scenario here? Get up early, let those guys play. We all win.
I love it. I'm tracking. Get up big early. How big is big?
Big enough that you could make those changes at a large
No, I
enough
want a
scale
number,
that
John.
people are recognizing it.
Don't skirt the question. I want a number. How big? You're Coach Freeman. You're a consultant. You're Connor Stallions.
Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me, because you're going to put me in a position to have Notre Dame on a lopsided score, and it's going to be 10-7 at half in 2 hours, and I'm going to be all mad about it.
No, so is 14 enough? Is 21 enough?
No.
How much do you have to be up?
No, that ain't enough. 14's not enough where they're going to say, Angeli, the offense is yours. It's got to be like substantial. 35-3. Like, what? It ain't going to be 14 points and we're putting the backups in, dude. It isn't going to be.
John. You're the best. So you're saying, you're going, you know what? Hope springs eternal. Let's roll in the young guys. All we need to do is get up 35-3. That's
not hope springs eternal. It's we're miserable, and that's what we want to see. That's not hope. It's just, Mike, I don't know how to say it, but a lot of people are like, we have 2 games left, but people are ready to look at the big picture and next year, and it just doesn't work that way. It's very awkward. People are already moving to the big picture, but we got 3 more games you got to win. It's a bad spot, but that's where people are at in their Notre Dame brain, Mike. They're ready to move on to bigger picture changes, but we got 3 games to win now.
So I want to spend some time talking about this, because you're the pulse of the fan guy, right? So and I've read some thoughts online. I've read all the comments. Say that again.
Angry.
No. What's so talking about Hartman? Is the fan base ready to move on? What? Get into that. Where's the fan base at in terms of, drop it in the comments? I'm curious. Like, is it like, okay, let's to hell with it. Play Angeli first half, play Minchie second half.
Yeah.
Unpack that for me.
I think there's major overall frustration with the offense. Overall, like, big red flag problem. But where it gets into the nuances, where we're blaming that on. There, you see on Twitter, there's still people going, it isn't Hartman's fault. You got an OC who doesn't call anything and no wide receivers, and half the time the interior line can't block it up. What do you want him to do? And then you have other people coming around to where you were at going, it's all kind of a problem, and also maybe Hartman just isn't that dude. And then when you acquire 3 losses, it doesn't matter what you think of Hartman anymore. You got to move on because he's gone.
Yeah.
So people, it's over for all big picture stuff. The Hartman plan failed overall. It did. How could you say it didn't? You're not reaching any of your goals. You have 3 losses.
Don't look at me, dude. I'm not saying that. So you're talking. So it's like, that's the question. It's who's at fault? We may never know. I mean, it's football. There's nuance to everything. Everybody shares blame.
Yeah.
So we're basically saying what I'm hearing you say, I'm rephrasing it. It's a bust. 2023 is a bust.
Yeah.
So like I said, our fans ready to like to hell with it. Let's move on. Let's see Angeli.
But that's my intuition too, out of anger and frustration. But I also understand Freeman knows he's got to win these games, and he's going to say Hartman gives him the best chance to do that and want him to play it out. So you're right in the middle there. I think the fan, look, Nick, I put it on the screen. Not saying it's his fault, but we got to see what we have for next year. Like, there's a lot of that type of sentiment. But I understand Freeman's going to say, I can't pull the plug and just empty out but we got to win these games, and Sam's our quarterback. So that's why I came to the conclusion the best case is get ahead by a lot, and then we'll all win then.
Yeah. I want to see young kids. I want to see, and you're to the point in the season now where you can play a Charles Jagasaw at guard. you can really play young kids and not burn a red shirt at this
Yeah.
point in the year. So that could be, if anything, if you're up big, it'll keep you tuned in throughout the fourth quarter to see some new jersey numbers flash on the field. That could be a fun experiment. If we're talking about quarterback specific, and I'm not ready to like get into the Angeli, Minchie, Carr, et cetera conversation.
Yeah.
But if people want to see Steve Angeli, they ought to want to see Kenny Minchie. So I'm sitting there going like, if we're up big at half, 35-3, like old Johnny Boy says, give Steve the third quarter and give Kenny the fourth. That's how I'm seeing this.
Yeah. And again, there's
he's saying, it's real quick to the super chat, he's saying he'll be playing, but I mean, yeah. So if Sam goes out here and lays another turd like he did against Clemson, goes 10 for 30, dude,
it can't get that far. We're at the point where that needs to be over. Like, you just can't do that anymore. I'm sorry, you just can't. But
so he's gonna start, but will he finish?
This whole thing is just, the undercurrent is frustration because you shouldn't be in a position to talk about you're not playing for anything. Can we get the other guy? The whole conversation is built on an underpinning of nothing but offensive frustration. And the other frustration is it's a waste of a year for really good Notre Dame defense. Al Golden and what they've done, it was a really good defense, not the reason we lost these games. There's also frustration there because you didn't help those guys out on the other side of the ball. And it also feels like you wasted a really good Notre Dame defense.
Yeah. Well, you can go back to that Clemson game, and you talked about it. And Clemson, again, watching it last night, like it was never like out of reach, but I do feel like with that coaching staff that some, for lack of a better term, and John, to our credit, in the last pregame show prior to Clemson, we're like, hey Parker, don't freak out. Like, don't freak out. Like, let's stay on track. And they freaked out. Yeah. So it's like the game was never out of reach. You had it within 8 points for majority of the second half, and they're still in that panic mode. We got to catch up. It's like, no, get back into your offense. Yeah. And like, it was like, you knew that we were going to figure out a way to slow them down. Eventually we did. Yeah. So to your point, yeah, that was kind of don't forget about the defense. It's a team game. Hartman wasn't going through the numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just an ongoing frustration. Now, you know what I think is really an interesting matchup today? I'm genuinely interested to see this. I think you never hope for injuries. As much as everybody wants to see the younger guys play, you don't want it to be due to injuries. Whether you like it or not, you're going to see some younger interior offensive linemen for Notre Dame today. And it's because of injury, but that you're going to get a look to see what some of these younger guys, Ashton Craig, Billy Boy, we're going to get to see what some of the future of that O-line looks like on the inside. What are your thoughts on that? I'm interested to see what they look like out there, how they hold their own.
Zeke Correll, thank you for your service. Yeah. You get what I'm saying, John?
Yes. Yeah.
Love you.
Yep.
You're too small.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're trying to become an elite program, a perennial top 5-ish type program, we've watched too many times this year, brother, Zeke just get physically dominated, and it's not a technique thing. It's not an effort thing. It's not a toughness thing. You're giving up 40, 50 pounds in the center of the offense. Can't have it. Ashton Craig, you're bigger.
Yeah.
Arguably more athletic. Step up. Billy Schrauth, highly recruited guy. Rocco Spindler sucks to suck. But like this is how sometimes football works. Yeah. I'm curious to watch Billy Schrauth in pass pro, more specifically, taking on a center rush. Somebody midlines him. He's kind of struggled in the past with bull rushes. So he's had some time to go back and kind of into the lab and work on that. But yeah, at that offensive line position, let's talk about that, John. We got time. Everybody talks about like, okay, well, Rocco can move people, right, John? Blow out holes, move people. success in the running game sometimes is just as much about scheme as it is like dominance, like physical dominance. But then we forget about the pass pro aspect to it. In all season, even preseason, it was a concern how we're going to hold up athletically.
Yeah.
And I believe that Billy Schrouth is a better lateral, has better feet than Rocco does. So this is a big kind of gap, 2-3 game gap for Billy to really like cement himself last year.
Yeah. And next year. The part that I love about it is the part you mentioned where, especially with offensive linemen, their trajectory and progression through the program is a little different than some other positions. I like that you're not burning years because you're past the 4-game window for the red shirt. I love that because then you're getting valuable experience without blowing that time. That feels like progress rather than having older guys out there, whatever, and then they're done and we're not great anyway. Like, it's just progress is what people want right now. And that would be it. And then you add Jagas on the mix for next year, and then you're going to have Fisher, and then you're starting to maybe see the future of Notre Dame's offensive line then.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting word choice, John. So it's like progression. I think even before progression, it's acclimation. So it's like get a Jagasaw out there just even to get acclimated to just being out in the field. I mean, you heard Tobias Merriweather talk about it as a true freshman. Like first couple times he was out there, he was literally overwhelmed by the stadium, by the noise, by the people. Like he got lost. Yeah. So even just to plug a Jagasaw in for a series of 2, you're getting them acclimated. We're not even talking about progress. It's just like this is just baby steps. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes total sense. So I think that's going to be interesting to see today. We're going to be looking for that. And 25-point favorite, and I'm looking at this, and it's hard for me to gauge because Wake's really not good, Mike. It's hard for me to gauge this point spread, and it's like their offense should have trouble moving the ball on us today, like a lot. Like they're really bad, Mike. Their O-line's bad. I think the defense is going to eat. You're going to have short fields today. I think they're going to have trouble moving the ball. They should. All the numbers suggest that. They're almost dead last in half the offensive categories. Tackles for loss, sacks, they're near dead last in these areas.
Do you have a score?
They should eat. That defense is going to eat today.
Do you have a score prediction, John?
I think in the USA Today, I had 35-9, something like that, somewhere in there. I think that's what I went with, 35-10, something like that.
I think if Notre Dame's going to cover and secure kind of a healthy win, you're going to have to see some turnovers on defense, right? Get a couple possessions back, maybe even a score, special teams, something like in an auxiliary score, right? And it'll probably come from the defense. Think about the Pitt game. But when we talk about playing young players, today, this conversation, John, we've only talked about the offensive side of the ball. There's plenty of Jalen Sneeds on the defensive side of the ball that are nipping at these guys' heels that are begging to get some run. Like J.D. Bertrand's backup is a true freshman in Drake Bowen. So when do you pull J.D. Bertrand's when do you pull him out?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So if we need that extra score and you're rotating in true freshmen midway through the third, that's just going to be interesting to see if and when those young guys get some run on the defensive side of the ball. If you put in a Ryan Barnes at corner or something like that and he gives up a score, you get what I'm saying? So I'm curious to see how this kind of unfolds. And then the other thing is, John, it's just a bit of a counterpoint to yours, dude. We know Wake Forest isn't great, but we also know that people play Notre Dame, they play out of their minds. I mean, they really elevate their level of play when coming into a Notre Dame stadium. And in this instance, dude, Sam Hartman dipped. So if you're looking for motivation, you know what I'm saying? Could you not see Wake Forest? I mean, it's the Louisville thing. It's like the Duke thing.
Okay, but
Super Bowl analogy.
Here's the difference, though. There's a line here, okay? I agree with what you're saying most of the time. However, aren't there instances where I don't give a shit how fired up you are? You don't have the dudes and it isn't going to matter anyways. And if that doesn't apply to this Wake team, I don't know who it could. Like, you knew Louisville had enough talent that if they made it the Super Bowl and played that way, it was going to be a long day. I'm not certain Wake has that in them the way they're currently constituted. So it's like, get as fired up as you want. Do you actually have the guys to enact that? That's my question.
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's why they play the games. That's why they roll the ball out there, John. I will say, though, Wake Forest, not too long ago, last year, with old boy Sam Hartman at quarterback, they were ranked number, 10 at one point? I think going into the Clemson game before Sam turned the ball over 6 times. They went into that game ranked top 10. So it's not like the roster's a bunch of scrubs. I mean, it's not like we're playing Central Michigan. You know what I'm saying? This is a Power 5 football team.
Yeah, and the other thing is, listen, if Notre Dame's offense messes up, anything's possible. Like, that's the other thing, Mike. I can't rely or trust on the offense to do anything right now. And that's always like in the back of your mind. I don't know what I can trust.
And that's the real conversation.
Yeah. And so I'm just not sure. I expect our defense to be in the backfield a lot today. Offensively, I just don't know what I'm going to get. I don't know what the efficiency is going to be like. I don't know where Sam's mind or arm's going to be at. I don't know if we have anybody that isn't a lacrosse player to throw to. I just don't know what I could trust. Then you add in the new O-line piece. Is that going to be better, worse, or about the same of what we got before? Offensively, I don't trust anything. And so every game's like, let's see what we're going to get, because I don't know. I don't know.
You don't know, but you kind of do.
Well, I know what I don't want it to be that I'm going to see. Like every day, every week, you're like, let it be different. Let it be different. Please just let it be different.
And then this is the thing. I mean, this is the thing. And I go back to watching Clemson last night. You know, it's like there's 3rd and 6s. Like we come out and just doubles. And like the inside receiver is trying to like run. What was it? The outside receiver trying to run the guy off. And then the 2 outside receivers ran like little whip routes, like little 5-yard routes.
Yeah. Like
very conservative stuff. Very conservative stuff. This is our second bye. I mean, Parker's hot seat is hot as shit. It's hot. So it's like, does he not take this extra bye week to be like, I gotta, like, have we even seen like a trick play, John, this year? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, even like
you gotta add something.
It doesn't even have to be like the full scale of trickeration. Even like some misdirection thing where you get everybody flowing one way and you run something back against the grain and have a blocker out. Like, we're not even getting anything that changes eye level or where any deception. You're not getting any of that. And let me tell you this about these buys, Mike. I have zero expectation we're going to see anything substantially different out of this buy. If you didn't get it after the first buy, I doubt you're going to get it now. And additionally, if I did get a bunch of changes now, it's just going to piss me off more that I see it after we have 3 losses.
Yeah.
There's no way to win that. I'm going to be mad going, well, too late now to pull out something nifty now that you're playing for none of your goals. Too late.
You took that Clemson loss hard, man.
It was the final nail in this year's coffin, Mike. The only thing hanging by a thread was that I could frame as success was getting in there at 2 losses and being able to be in a New Year's Six game that has some national appeal and be able to do that. That was the lowest bar of what we could reach. That would be like progress or a good year, or you could argue like this one hurt. That one hurt, man. That was the one it couldn't be unless you beat Louisville. Then you would have 2 losses anyways. Like it couldn't be this.
I'm still optimistic. Because you look at the total number, this season's so funny. Now we're just talking about offense. We're talking about Parker. We're talking about Hartman. We're talking about wide receiver play. If you look at the top, like if the big offensive statistics, points per game, points per play, etc., like we're not bad. It feels like we're in the bottom 20, percentile. That's what it feels like. But then if you were to delete those first 4 games, what are the actual numbers, right?
Yeah.
It's fascinating. But again, going back to last night, rewatching that Clemson game, you're having some success. You got like a guard tackle pull, kind of a downhill counter play. We get some success. Parker runs something else. He comes back to the same play, 1 play removed.
Yeah.
And it's like we're sitting there as fans going, where is the building block off of the success of that play?
Yeah.
I'm sitting there watching Hartman just kind of get, and he has time. In the grand scheme of things, Hartman has had time. Now, if Jabron Payne misses on a blitz, whiffs on a blitz pickup, not so much. But dude, this is big time football. You don't get 4 seconds back there to find somebody. Yeah. So it's like 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3. Ball's got to be out. I'm looking for Sam to kind of just move around in the pocket, extend a play, get a little bit off script. Because people want to say, well, nobody's open. This offense, John, God damn it. It's more like the West Coast. It's like a timing, rhythm type offense. A lot of short stuff.
We have no timing and no rhythm.
It's bad.
We have no timing and no rhythm.
Like, okay, but he's got a crosser that Sam can't see. He can't physically see it. It's like, well, just move out of the pocket and then let's connect. Move today, Sam. And if we're talking about Sam's like progression and trying to make it into the league, et cetera, stuff like that, you're gonna have to extend a play. You do. You got to move around.
I wonder, this was supposed to be mutually beneficial where Notre Dame gets that experienced 6-year guy to direct their team. And now what?
No, say what you're going to say.
It was supposed to be mutually beneficial where we get this 6th-year play caller and all that, and it helps us out. And then on the flip side, he gets to further his draft ability, stock, and all that kind of stuff. Andy did get the FAP NIL. We know that. I don't think either side's happy. Notre Dame has not taken a step forward as an offense under him. And I think it would be hard to make the argument he's improved his draft stock by how he did in Notre Dame. I think it's got to be a frustrating experiment in every way other than Hartman made a bunch of money. Am I wrong? His draft stock has not gone up because of the stuff he's doing in Notre Dame.
He ain't getting drafted, John.
Oh, I was told that was what this was all about, is him trying to go in a pro-style thing for that.
Well, it depends on who you listen to, John. I just said, that's why I was pointing at the screen. I mean, I said,
come on.
I said I thought that Notre Dame would do more for Sam Hartman than Sam Hartman would do for Notre Dame. I said that in January.
Yeah,
it's almost a full calendar year, and that's the way it's turned out.
Yeah.
So you could sit there, and it's like, did Michigan really cheat? Did that all really happen? It's like, yeah, it did. It did. It's hard to believe. And you sit there and go, well, Sam Hartman, he's going to come to Notre Dame and play in a pro-style offense, and he's going to work on his draft stock. Easy to believe. Or you sit there and go, well, he was going to probably, go into a camp and then maybe end up selling insurance.
Yeah.
Finding his way post-football, which all of us had to do. Or he's going to go there and make a milli plus.
Yeah.
And it's like, would he really do that? It's like, yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah.
He came there to elevate his brand and cash a couple checks.
That's such a dark way to look at it, though, man.
No, it's not. It's not dark, John.
But dude, I would have got killed in August if. Yeah. Speaking of that, look at this. People are giving me a hard time. Robert, $5 outlet. That's not fair to say the autograph session was a success, and it was going back in the summer when I sponsored Sam's NIL autograph event, the first public signing he did. And it was all of that. I was building it up, doing commercial promos, bumping it up. There's no way I could look at that guy that day and be like, he's just trying to further his brand to get all this money. I legitimately thought this was going to bump Notre Dame's offense to a different level. It just didn't work out. And it's just,
like, listen, because context matters. You're saying, well, that's a dark way of looking at it. I'm not saying it was like devious on Sam's part or anything like that, but he's sitting there going, okay, like there's opportunity here to go to Notre Dame and make some money and build my brand. And yeah, perhaps like elevate my draft stock, but like who wouldn't do that? I have no ill will towards Sam for coming here and making $1 million and, growing his Instagram following, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But it's okay to acknowledge it too.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes a lot more sense to look at it now. I could have never taken that thought before. I just think, man, there was hope here that this was going to be different. Look at this, Mike. Andrew Gilmore, he's a Patreon guy and a longtime YouTube follower. Thanks, Andrew. Mike G, if you were the head coach, would you replace Parker or do you give him another year? That's a very relevant question in Notre Dame land.
John, you hate this answer, but I'm a firm believer that
that's not the question. It's would you? It isn't a question of what you think they're going to do. Those are two different questions.
Oh, Mike. Yeah, I get it, dude. I get it. Listen. I mean, if you're because you do want to provide some context, right?
Sure.
So let me give you my answer. I'd say I'd bring Parker back. Okay. And here's why. I don't know if I'm Coach Freeman right now, I don't know who I'm going to be able to get. For one reason, like I'm still an unproven head coach.
Yeah.
Like I understand the cachet and all this, but like if you're that hotshot young OC, who's to say that they're going to move their young family here or whatever, and there's no guarantees. It's not like you're coming to coach for Kirby Smart or Nick Saban. You understand? Yeah. Now, I would sit there and watch from a distance. If I was a young hotshot OC, I'm going to watch from a distance. I'm going to watch from arm's length and evaluate the situation before I was going to jump ship over there. Marcus Freeman's staff is constructed of his homeboys. Let me finish, John. And then beyond that, because you're going to keep Parker because you don't know who you're going to get. For that reason, then B, if I'm a young hotshot OC, what the hell do I have to work with? I'm a young 5-star chef, and I'm looking in the cupboards, and all they got is peanut butter and jelly. And how am I supposed to, make this meal? You get what I'm saying? So who are you going to be able to get?
But I'm really uncomfortable starting this from a position of like, we're scared we might not be able to do better. That's a very dark place to start the discussion from, of like, well, we're scared. Who would we maybe be able to get or whatever? And also, if there is a change made, wouldn't it not be to go with a young hotshot guy, but somebody with experience, since we've seen that that's an issue?
Well, you're saying, well, we can do better. Like, okay, you can't do any better or whatever. It's like, well, who's to say that Parker can't do better and improve? I mean, look at Golden's defense from year 1 to year 2. It got a lot better.
Yeah, but with 35 years of experience in the bank to help him formulate the changes he needed to make. And the other problem is, sure, Parker can get better, but it's starting from such a bad place. He's got to get miles better just to even get caught up. Like I look at that offense as so far behind where it needs to be, even with the personnel we have. That's a struggle. It's nowhere even close to being where I want it. My fear is he's got a lot to improve just to get his head above water before we even worry about being good.
You know what's interesting?
It's that poor of an operation right now.
Well, we talked about this on Patreon, you and I, breaking down Marcus Freeman's press conferences, which are becoming painful. They're becoming painful, but he talked about an answer to play action. Yeah. One of his, kind of snippets or sound bites was, this is his first year in the new offense.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's like, sure, Parker's got to improve, mix up play calling, be more creative, yada, 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 yada. But Freeman went back to like, well, this is Sam's first year in the new offense. Now, granted, you're 28 years old and you're 10 games into this thing.
Come on.
But it's like, so don't be pointing all the fingers at Parker, because Freeman, in saying that, he's sharing the blame with Sam,
Yeah. Yeah. It's man, listen, here's what I've been saying.
Oh, people are setting themselves up for disappointment because I don't see Parker going anywhere.
My position is, if I could see what we were trying to accomplish and what we were trying to build, and a guy misses a block and it gets blown up or whatever, and you could point and say, I know what we were trying to do here, and one guy missed their block, whatever, that's different than what this is. I genuinely can't even see what they're trying to do, Mike. It's that bad that, like, it literally feels like they're throwing single plays at the wall, hoping a couple stick together and form a drive. Like, I'm not seeing the plan. I'm not seeing the nuts and bolts. I'm not seeing what's your bread and butter, Mike. What can you go to when you know you got to move the ball? I don't see any of that.
The Notre Dame offense, son of a gun, is it not the gift that keeps on giving, brother? Because go back. Remember how bad of an offensive coordinator Tommy Rees was? Remember? Everybody wanted Rees fired. Remember, what the hell are we trying to do? You can't. Remember? It was the same thing 2-3 years ago. Like, you get what I'm saying?
I do. But I'm also, it's not a matter of like those guys against each other. Like, Rees didn't get enough out of that offense to make us what we wanted either. And there's reasons for that. And some of it,
he had Drew Pine as his quarterback.
Yeah. And well,
okay. John, let me cook. Statistically, Drew Pine is Sam Hartman. They're the same quarterback.
It's so sad, but you're right.
I always said Rees is a good play caller. He's a good play caller. I have friends that are coaches that I played with that are current coaches, and they'd be like, he's a good play caller. He does a good job.
Yeah.
So now he's maybe trying to do too much with the talent that he had at his disposal at the quarterback position, wide receiver, etc. It's just fascinating, man. But I tend to agree with you. The repetitive nature of the offense this year, it's like mind-numbing. I mean, this he loves on third down. You have a displaced tight end. You're an 11 personnel. Stays will run it out, and then Tobias runs a vertical route.
Yeah,
it's the same pass that Jeremiah Trotter picked off against Clemson. I mean, we have seen that route count. Like, watch the game today on 3rd and 6, whatever is the case. They will run that play.
Yeah. Dude, come on, man.
Like your first run play will be guard, tackle, pull, downhill, counter. It's maddening. So, like, why can't you do a boot out of that? Like, yeah, it is maddening. But I think I wish sometimes, John, that we had a better answer. I had a better answer, because some of this stuff is inexplicable.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, nothing ties together. And like, I would be totally open to really debating what we need to do here if I could see that we were close, or it's like I just can't even see the vision, and he seems totally overwhelmed.
So in your mind, well, let's talk about this. Yes, let's tie this together. Kick off in 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Old Johnny boys looking forward to next year. Let's see some young guys, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
Let's blow these 35-3, John. I wrote it down.
There you go.
Wants to get up 35-3.
There you go. Yeah.
So 35-3, we're going to see Angeli, we're going to see Minchie, et cetera, et cetera. And we're looking towards the future. The future is bright. But if Parker gets retained, how does John Kennedy, the Notre Dame fan base, feel about 2024? So you're going to have some new pieces, new, personnel mixed in.
Mike, this fan base is going to lose its collective mind the minute that tweet comes out that Parker's coming back. It's going to be really freaking bad. It's going to get ugly. And you know what it's going to turn into? It's going to turn into ugliness against everybody. On Freeman, he's going to take some strays on this. It's going to be on, well, whatever, Pat. Well, however we learn that he's coming back, it's going to come out on a tweet after Freeman announces it, whatever. However we find out that he's coming back, it's going to be really ugly and bad. And everybody's going to blame the administration for fumbling Freeman's original plan. Then they're going to be mad at Freeman for everything overall. And then they're going to forget about Hartman because he's out of sight, out of mind, and he's gone forever. It's just going to be a lot of frustration. And people are going to feel like Freeman's going to go down with that ship because he doesn't want to get rid of his buddy. And then he's going to be a good DC again real soon. That's what you're going to get in response.
You got to let that, who's the Utah guy? Ludwig. You got to let that go, John.
It's not about Ludwig, the guy. It is about the overall concept that your young coach needed support and wanted to bring in an experienced guy he was comfortable with, and they messed it up. It isn't about Ludwig. You can put any guy in there. It's the concept that your young head coach needed that support, found a guy he was comfortable with, courted him, and they messed it up. That is going to stick with this story forever. It's connected. It's step one to all of this discussion. It all circles back to that.
If you're Coach Freeman, I saw this thing on ESPN last night. They're talking about Ferris State, D2 football. They won a championship last year. A couple guys lit up a couple cigars in the locker room. This coach, 11 months after the fact, gets suspended for the playoffs this year because some of his guys were smoking a stogie in the locker room. And they were juxtaposing that against like Michigan's penalties, right?
Yeah.
You get where I'm going?
Yeah.
They're interviewing the Ferris State head coach, and he said, self-pity leads to self-destruction. And I was like, I like that quote. I'm going to save that in my brain, my little mental Rolodex. So if you're Coach Freeman and you know what went down with this Ludwig thing, like they screwed the contract up, right? They offered him, but it was based on old numbers, old contract data.
Yep.
If you're Coach Freeman, how do you move forward? Because if you, John Kennedy, you can't let go of the fact, like, you've got to move on. Self-pity. You can't sit there and be like, well, they screwed me.
Yep.
How do you move forward? How does John Kennedy move forward?
Well, you got to deal with the reality at hand. But whenever the discussion of all this comes up, I remind people how it all started. And it all started with that mistake. Now we got to deal with the realities we're in after it. But I never allow one of these discussions to start without me reminding people this could have all been avoided. It could have all been avoided if you just supported your young.
But dude, that was 11 months ago. That was forever ago.
Yeah, and I'm dealing with that mistake 11 months later.
Okay, so the guy that asked me, Andrew Gilmore, asked me, "What do you do if you're MF? Do you bring back Parker, whatever?" So does he have that burn in his brain to be like, well, now he's gun shy about trying to go get the next guy?
Yeah, this is all starting from such
Answer the question. How does Marcus Freeman, does he go, well, I want a new guy, but like maybe they screw it up a second time?
With frustration is how he handles it. How do you think Marcus Freeman felt when he had to get up there and try and tell America Parker was his number one choice when everybody knew he wasn't? Like, that's a part of the job. I felt bad for Freeman. There was a picture in that week of him at the women's basketball game, and the guy looked like he hadn't slept in 3 days, rings under his eyes. It's the most worn out I ever saw Freeman. It was weighing on him, all of that drama, and he had to get up there and be a good little soldier for the university, say the right things, deflect, accept, like try and frame it when everybody knew it wasn't what was going on. That was a horrible place to start all this from. Now that we're in this place, we need to figure out how to get out of it. And Freeman's losing some of that leeway and understanding the more we go along here. He's really got to tighten this up and get serious about it. I don't know where you go, Mike. I don't know where you go.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I just pray that you can someday like let that go. That really bugs you, man.
It does bug me because the one thing you need to do
And
if
it's the
you're
whole
going to
narrative about Notre Dame, right? Not supporting the football program. Yeah.
it's all of that. That's been my whole life. Like since my cognitive existence, that dynamic of has been a thing my whole life. But the added kicker is you got this first time young coach learning and you have to give him experience that he trusts and support him. He wanted an Al Golden on offense, and he didn't get an Al Golden on offense. That's what Freeman wanted.
Yeah. But he got it at quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah, he got that. He got that. This
And
is
I
all.
think that was kind of a narrative I crafted, I don't know, halfway through the season. I was like, okay, Freeman's a young coach, Parker's a young play caller. And it was like, here, Sam, you figure it out. And I think probably unfairly to Hartman, it was like, we got 6 years. He's going to be the equalizer. But then you hear like the most recent press conference. It's like, well, he's still learning. It is a bit of a mess. It's a freaking mess.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a mess. And the other thing, see, this all connects to something else. Because the other part of this is if you're going to re-rack it and we're going to just do it all again next year, now you're doing it with a quarterback that doesn't have all that experience and everything. Like, it's not going to get any easier. Things need to.
Who says? Who says you're doing it with a quarterback without that experience?
Okay, you're either doing that or we're bringing in a guy to be a name later and you just have no idea what you're going to get. Like, there's no one. Once the season ends, you have all this uncertainty still, man. There's no easy way out. It doesn't get any easier. Like, it's just this is a rough spot to be. You don't have answers. Notre Dame fans want answers, damn it. And we just don't have any. We want answers. And there are none.
No, you want. Yeah. I mean, what could have been? But to your point, I'm excited for some football. We're getting close to kickoff. I might have to sign off in a couple minutes, John, but
yeah,
we're getting close to kickoff. I do hope that you do get to see some young players. Yeah, because it just feels like this is how it feels like to me, that the season's kind of a bust. And the only reason it's a bust is because the expectations were so high because of one Sam Hartman. And so just how that thing has come together, or fallen apart rather, is so interesting. He was the beacon of hope. And then turns out maybe it was it wasn't what it was maybe billed to be. And now we're just kind of sitting here being like, well, what gives? That's basically, we're like, what gives? Like, what do we do? We got to win these games for the sake of the record.
Yeah, that's exactly where you're at.
Keep the recruiting going. But it's just like, all of us are kind of just like, you want that. Those Staples commercials, they have the easy button, the red easy button. Sometimes in life, you just wish you could hit fast forward. It's like, I just want to fast forward to spring of 2024. Like, who's our quarterback? What's the deal? It's like we're just kind of treading water, it feels like.
Yeah. We're going to do this. Riley Leonard, we're getting Riley Leonard now this spring when he comes. How would you react to that? Bringing that guy in. Any thoughts? That's a name out there, Mike.
John, is it fair if I save this for Patreon?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I have thoughts on Riley Leonard. And I am actively biting my tongue. Robert, thank you for the super chat, but I'm going to I haven't created a cohesive thought just yet, but my initial thoughts, I'm going to keep holstered.
You know what? You react to things differently than most people do. And you know why I think it is? It's your defensive nature. I think you got a thing against all quarterbacks because you're a linebacker at heart. I think you got an axe to grind against all of them. I do. I just
you
got a target on all of them.
Or I just feel like I know football. And I feel like, I just feel like I kind of know football. But the way John, help me out here. I'm trying not to get listen. I took so much heat for my Sam Hartman take. people, personal attacks, attacking my character. You're not a Notre Dame man.
Yeah.
We're working on it, Drunk Vigo. We were on the phone last couple nights talking about having a get together. But yeah, dude, I just took so much heat over my opinion.
Yeah, you did.
A freaking opinion of a player's ability. Yeah. And people were telling an ex-captain he wasn't a Notre Dame man and blah, 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 blah.
But that's kind of BS. That it just because BS. But how is it fair that just because you disagree with something we did, that it means you don't love Notre Dame? Like, that's not fair that people dump that on you. Because John. You played there, you got to agree with everything they do?
Well, and
how does that make sense?
I love Notre Dame more than I love Sam Hartman.
Right.
And I looked at Sam Hartman as an average quarterback that was going to set the program back a year because we're not developing somebody else.
Yeah.
And turns out that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
I care about the program, building a program under Freeman. And it was like, no, dude, so we're going to get a 6-month rental that comes here and makes a bunch of money and just pieces out. And I'm like, and I'm the bad guy.
Yeah.
So anymore, I'm just like, I'm gonna kind of like reserve my thoughts, and I haven't been wrong. So like, yeah, I'm just a little bit more reserved. Just a little bit more reserved.
No, that's fine. And I do think, Mike, the way Notre Dame fans are going to look at portal quarterbacks is going to change from now on. You're no longer, you had a lot of people, it felt like you were getting away with one. We're getting a guy here on a 1-year deal that's not a very Notre Dame-y traditional
top
thing.
Five. Oh, dude, top 5 college quarterback. Remember all that?
Like, and it felt like you were kind of Notre Dame got one here. And now people are going to look at portal guys different now from now on.
You got the completely
top 1 last year, and look where you're sitting.
And Jelly became what Hartman was supposed to be.
Oh,
so and then you got to sit there and unpack this. Like, is Steve Angeli, is peanut butter and jelly, the guy that we want to hitch our wagon to? That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, that's
always the next guy up. It's always the next guy up. Right?
Yeah, it's always the next, and that's why people want to get that evaluation on him going sooner rather than later, and that's how we end up in a bad spot on the remaining 2 games. So I don't know what to tell you.
Can I just share this with the audience before we leave?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know Mike Allstott, but he is a gosh darn legend. I'd love to meet the guy. Should be John, you're familiar with Allstott.
Yeah.
Is he he's a kind of a borderline NFL Hall of Famer. He was a one of a kind.
Gotta be. He's gotta be. When's he eligible or whatever?
Out, but dude, he was one of a kind. The A-Train, man. And we're actually going to have this Wednesday. We're going to have this is on the Patreon. The best running back to ever come out of Joliet Catholic, Ty Isaac, who played at Michigan and then played at USC, transferred to Michigan, played under Harbaugh. That's going to be a phenomenal interview coming up Wednesday night. With all this Michigan scandal going on, I can't wait to have that conversation. What was I even talking about? Steve Angeli. Oh yeah. You fans want to have this evaluation period of Steve Angeli. Just real quick, stats are one thing, production is one thing, efficiency is one thing. Watch the play. Watch the actual quarterback play.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, we'll make it to a 12-team playoff next year. There's enough talent, et cetera. Like, that should be a given. Knock on wood. In those big-time environments, you need a mobile quarterback, somebody that can extend a play, somebody that can play off script.
Yeah.
Does Steve Angeli show us, if he gets some duty, spot duty the next couple weeks, does he show us that? Nothing's open, I'm going to move.
Yeah.
Right? That's what this guy wants to see from any quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah. No, hey, that's fair. So I don't know what we're going to get here today. We're just about to kick off. Thanks for the seniors for all their hard work and dedication. Notre Dame, hug your mom and then go beat the shit out of Wake. I don't know what else to say, man. That's the best we could do in the moment.
35-3 at half. You heard it here first, folks.
I want it. I'm not sure we could get there, but I want it. Damn it. Make the defense do it. Pick 6 Central today or something.
Yeah, I do think, if you're going to get,
it's got to be defense driven. It ain't going to be offense. Give me a bunch of short fields and sacks and turnovers or something. I don't know.
Let's get some possessions back. Let's get some bonus points somewhere. Because, we don't see it coming from conventional offense. No.
Oh, no, I don't. I just think the defense is going to get short fields and destroy a lot of this. Yeah, Pat, I'm going to go live after. I'll send you a link.
All right, let's
Anything
get out of
else?
here, John.
We're just about to get going. Anything else, Mike?
No, dude. No. I'm for this game, I just want to see how we start. What the energy, what the momentum, what the vibe, as you would say, feels like. And I think that'll be indicative of how the game plays out. But if it's a little clunky the first quarter, I'm not happy with it. But watching the pictures of the walk, it felt like they were up, which is encouraging.
And we'll see. Again, I'm looking at it as there's nothing we can do to erase the frustrations we all have. You could just go out and win today by a lot, get the younger guys experience, and then moving on to Stanford. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Everybody who's joined the Patreon and supported it, wonderful. We appreciate it. We're starting to get into the interview portion here. We have some that we've already recorded and a bunch coming up. We're going to get Notre Dame interviews with people you're not going to get anywhere else. So that's never going to turn off because the season ends. We're going to crank up when the season ends. So be sure to be there. And then I'll see you guys after the game. We'll open up the phone lines, and hopefully we're in a better mood than the last time we did this. Have a good afternoon, everybody. Enjoy the ball game.